Well, it's the first Monday with a new president. And I know a lot of people are excited and a lot of people are scared to death. Donald Trump is whirring around like a new guy in a new job, trying to do everything at once. And whether he'll accomplish those things, who knows? But I got to tell you, there's one thing that excites me about the start of this administration. And it's not what you think. It's not that I'm going to talk badly about Trump, and it's not that I'm going to talk positively about Trump. What I'm talking about is the positivity in us and you and society and people. Here's my point. For many, many years, politicians have lulled us into an apathetic sense so that we just kind of lay back. We elect our favorite guy and say, oh, he's going to take care of us or she's going to take care of us, and just lay back and trust that they're going to do that. Well, they never do that. I said in a previous video or writing or something that I saw this as a time when people are finally standing up and saying, you know, enough's enough. We got to do something here. And I like that aspect of it because this helps to bring back the power to us, as I've talked about before. So here's what you need to notice. You got Trump doing all these things, trying to stay on top of stuff. And what do we see? We see millions of women going out protesting against Donald Trump. We will see minorities going out and protesting and pushing in huge numbers against Trump. We'll have people going out that are immigrants. We'll have people talking about economics. And that's the cool part. That's what we want. It may seem like unrest and it may seem like trouble, but it's not. Think about this. In the 60s and 70s, we had two presidents that went through very stressful times as far as backlash from the people. Okay? In the 60s, we had Lyndon Johnson after he took over for Kennedy when he was assassinated. Now, he was in the middle of civil rights, women's rights, and the Vietnam War. This was all going on with him. And there were protests, there were riots, there were all kinds of things. Now, Johnson finished out Kennedy's term, ran again, and was in for 4 years. And then after that 4 years, he had the opportunity to go run for re-election for yet another 4 years. But he didn't. Why didn't he? Well, the thing about it is, as President of the United States in that time, he really didn't have a lot of control, or as much control as he'd like. Now, this guy was a big shot from Congress. He was in control. He's basically a gangster with some people. But so many people were kicking back, whether it be the Vietnam War, whether it be women's rights or civil rights or any number of things that might be going on. He came to that point where he could run for re-election. He goes, no, I've had enough. I've had enough. Then came Richard Nixon. Now, Richard Nixon was a weird guy in his own way. He still had the problems with some civil rights stuff, certainly the women's rights and the Vietnam War. He promised to shut down the Vietnam War. So he gets in at 68. He has to run for re-election in 72, and he still hasn't stopped the Vietnam War. So now he gets re-elected for a second term. He decides to go another term. And he finally shuts down the Vietnam War. But why? Well, he was trying to cover up for his other misdeeds, and he got a lot of pressure from the people. The whole Watergate thing, and he ended up being the only president to resign. So my point is, these two presidents in this time period were different than every other president after that. Because every other president after that kind of got things pretty easy. They did what they wanted. Nobody really kicked about it. Slowly but surely, people eased back and said, hey, they got it. I don't have to do anything. And we find ourselves in this mess. Let's face it. Any big things that need to be changed aren't changed by politicians or government. They are changed by we, the people. And they are only changed when we get tired, and sick, and we stand up and we push back and we protest and we argue and we do all the things that happened in the 60s, and oddly enough, we're starting to see them now. Now, people will think that's a bad thing, all the protest and all the unrest and stuff, but no, that's a good thing. This means that people are finally getting tired of being apathetic. They're tired of trusting people in politics and in government to do what's best for us. Because finally, they've realized they ain't doing it. They aren't working in our best interest. Now, they elected Trump because they wanted change, but even still, they're not going to let him go on this. They're going to watch every step of the way, and anybody who gets their toes stepped on is going to push back. That is great. It may seem troublesome to you, but the fact of the matter is that people feel the compulsion and the passion to stand up and speak out and yell and complain is really what this is about. This is how we get the power back to the people. And Donald Trump is in fact facilitating that for us now in this era. And I thank him for it. He's pissing off a lot of people. And people are so angry that they're not just going to sit back and take it like they used to. They're going to stand up and they're going to push back. And that's really what it's all about. It's going to be very interesting watching Trump's administration because he's got a lot of plans. He's got some weird people in there. I'm very dubious about what he'll do and how he'll do it, but we don't know. But I think it'll be interesting to find out how much impact and how much effect we have on him as time goes on. He's a very thin-skinned guy. He likes people to like him. And if he's going out and everybody hates him, he's going to have to adjust, which means we have more control. So whether you're a Trump fan or not, you got to be positive about the fact that people are finally getting involved. People are finally speaking up because that's what it takes. That's what we need to do. A democracy is about power in the people. But we can't have that power unless we go after it and exercise it and push it. And whether it be Donald Trump or whoever else, if they're pushing us to the point where people are saying enough is enough, let's fight, let's go back, then we're in good shape. We got out of the Vietnam War. We got somewhere with women's rights. We got somewhere with civil rights. And that was because people did something, not because politicians did something. The politicians ultimately had to do something, but they would have never done it without the push and the struggle they had with us. As a dyed-in-the-wool pain in the ass, as many of my friends and family will tell you, I can appreciate the country becoming a pain in the ass to those people who are supposed to lead us, protect us, and represent us. So now's the time. Now's the time. Don't get excited. Don't get upset. All these protests and all these things are good things. This is bringing it back to us, and that's where it needs to be. Thank you, Donald Trump, for pissing people off. Let's piss off some more people, and let's get involved, and let's fight back. I got to go. I'll talk to you soon.